Hey, what's up, guys? Today we got another good question from Caroline. So this is regarding paper call, and it's something that I've dealt with quite a lot. Learned from mistakes, from wasting some money, and yeah. So I'm going to share with you guys, what the question is, and then give you some points from what I experienced, and also possibly share with you something that's very interesting that you could do, what paper call can really lead up to. And I touched on this base. Briefly in the beginning of this year. Sorry, let's get started. First of all, I'll read the question. Hey man, I've been watching your videos for some time now, and honestly, you should be charging for most of this. It's that good. So first of all, thank you for that. It's a good way to start my morning. I have some trouble implementing what you're doing here though. I'm trying to set up paper call deals, right? And I have calls coming in from Facebook ads for interior painting here in London. They cost under £40 each, but they're good calls. Like all of them are quote requests. Wow. I want to sell them for £70, and since average painting here is like 2 to 3 grand, I think it's pretty reasonable. But have some problems with that and wonder how you'd handle it. I've been trying to get I've been trying to get them to pay me for a small block of calls up front, but they won't do it. I guess they don't see the value or don't believe they're worth, etc. I know you're offering them a free trial, but how do you know who's worth sending calls to? I don't have a massive budget, and I don't either. Would obviously cost me to send them free calls. So I don't want to send good leads to somebody who won't pick up the phone, has a shitty person on the phone, or doesn't have. All right. Okay, so I'll start here, right? Also, how many people who take up your free trial? Okay, right. So this last part is the most important to start with, right? Because this is a place where I wasted money on, and which hurt a lot in the beginning because especially when I didn't have any money, right? And I had some, few shitty people who just basically made me send them calls and never really hold on to their side of the bargain. So that's the first thing. Do not lose money. This is going to be the main thing. It's going to discourage you to move in this direction, especially when you're in a strong position. You're able to get, you're saying most of them are quote requests for under $40, 40 pounds for you, and you're trying to settle it at 70, which is a very reasonable price for something that's costing you 40. So the very first thing I would do is this. I would look in London for directories for painting, right? Other directories for painting where people are currently paying for leads who they are sharing that lead with 4 or 5 people. So for example, for America, that's HomeAdvisor, right? So I talked about HomeAdvisor a lot for paper call. And the reason it's so great is because when you look at these directories, let's say you look through London painters and you see some guy has 20, 30 reviews. What basically that says, even before you call him, what it tells you is that this guy has a business system which closes shit, right? When he's sharing that lead with 4 or 5 people, and he's coming out, getting the lead, closing the lead, and it's turning that customer into a review on his platform, right? He has that system going. Right off the bat, he is good for pay-per call. Now, all you have to establish from then on is, does it make sense for him to get these exclusive leads, and can he still make, good business out of it? Usually they will, okay? So that's that. That's the very first thing. Look into directories, look other places where people are buying direct leads and they're sharing with other people. Once you start and talking to only those people, they're going to be more or less, you're going to be cutting out half of the bullshitters, right there. Now, from then on, what I would do is, it really depends at your selling skill a bit, right? Really, if your selling skill is really good, it can go into whole different type of deals from here within paper call. So I'll start with the base amount. Okay, so for example, the interested is, they are very interested, meaning they are, yes, Caroline, I'm going to pay you $500 up front to see what you can do for me, and like buying 10 calls. I want to buy 10 calls and see how it goes. That's like where you base want them, right? That's a really good interested person. Not any risk on their side would be, okay, send some leads to me and we'll see how it goes. That's the risk on your side. You want them somewhere in the middle. And a good way to do it, if your selling skills are not that high yet, is to make them go through some hoops and without having to pay some money. So let me explain what I mean, right? If they pay, great. There's no risk, and then it's a donezo, right? But you want them to meet you halfway, right? And the best way to do that is to invite them to a screen share, to invite them to some kind of commitment where they have to schedule something on their calendar where they spend some time with you and you show them and you take them through, right? Show them some things that you have gotten. What's your whole, what is that? Okay. No, that's a reply on YouTube. I'll get to that. Sorry about that. What I was going to say. Okay, so you want them to meet you halfway of some kind of commitment, right? So this is the approach I would take. I call this approach the, like how's it going? That's what I would call it, right? It's basically when you don't talk about Google, you don't talk about leads, you don't talk about websites or anything. You just talk their language, you know? So if I was to call the guy, it would sound a lot like, I'll just give you a little demonstration. So trying to give you a bit more value here. So you understand the scope of how I would reach out to them. So I'm talking to somebody who I know has reviews and he's already buying leads, right? So I'm talking like, hey, John, I see, I currently have a site that's, bringing some traction in your area. And, I'm not a contractor or anything. I just wanted to reach out to you. Basically, I see there's a lot of other people, selling these kind of programs where you have to spend like a couple $1,000s before you get some results. A lot of times that can be a lot of risk for, contractors like you. Yeah, you can shit on SEO deals a bit. You can afford to do that when you're doing just pay-per-call. And then you can be like, I have a few sample calls coming in. So, these samples that you have coming in right now is gold because you can leverage that to actually show them you're getting traction and possibly get them to pay up front, right? When you have results coming in, things get a lot easier, obviously. So I wanted to see if you'd be, I don't know if this is a, good time for you. I just cold called you, but I wanted to see if you'd be interested in me just showing you what we have going on for some other contractors. We've been getting some results, but they weren't the best fit because they weren't picking up their calls and stuff like that. Really talking their language. Like this guy knows he's a closer because he has reviews in that directories. Now again, if you don't have the directory, then try to find a way, whether they have good SEO. If somebody is on the top in maps and stuff like that, they have already done the due diligence. They've probably been burned through other SEO companies. And then when you come up with a deal like this, that sounds so raw, it's enticing as well, right? So yeah, basically, I hope you understand that, right? So number one, find directories where people are buying leads. If you find that, great. If you can't, still do this where you reach out to them with the feeling them out, getting them to commit with some kind of screen share, some kind of time, not today, but later on in the evening or tomorrow where you guys meet and do a Skype session or whatever, or where you show them, the results. That way, he's serious. If he shows up to that, he's serious. You can be upfront like, hey, look, right now we don't have a charge up front. I still want to show you what I can do before, we go into some kind of paid program, but I want to show you what I was able to bring and what it's all like, right? Boom. That is the minimum I would recommend. That way, at least if you were to spend your own money to get him traction before he starts paying for it, at least he's somebody who's a closer, who has an efficient business, picks up his phone and all that stuff, and also committed to meeting you on a time, so he's really interested, right? And I would even go as far as to get, saying all your concerns out loud, right? For example, I would say, for example, hey, John, in the beginning, if we were to move forward with this and I'm going to get you some traction, I don't know if you have a receptionist right now or if he has a receptionist, you can tell him, hey, a lot of times in our experience, the business owner is who laid the foundation. So they're able to answer the phone calls a lot better than the receptionist, right? And that's true, right? They get a little better, their business grows, and they get a receptionist who sucks, right? Who drops phone calls, who doesn't call people back, who doesn't ask for the sale. But so you can ask them, do you mind while I am generating the phone calls with my budget, if you could directly answer some of the calls, just so we have a direct, reading of what the quality is. After that, once you are onboarded, I don't mind you passing out to your receptionist. You will sound damn real. He will understand you and he will respect it because he will see you as somebody who understands the industry. So yeah, that's the approach I would take, right? So I hope that helped. Like I said, there's other ways to go about it, which requires a bit more selling, but you can price something like this more like 150 pounds, almost 200 with those kind of selling. I'll make a video about that later. If you're interested, let me know. But it does require a lot more selling. But it's worth it. It's still pay per call. It's still no risk on their side until you get calls, but it works out really well in terms of the price per call. So yeah, hope that helps.